No sex. Hi, everyone. Hi, Esther. Hi, Christy.
Yeah, hi.
Look at you.
How are we doing
Hi.
today?
Very well, thank you. How are you too?
Very well. Really exciting to have you guys join us for this session. And so, on one hand, research has shown that Sub-Sahara Africa and Nigeria specifically has the highest number of female entrepreneurs globally. And this accounts for over 26% of the general adult population. And then on the other hand, we also have tech, which is literally the fastest growing sector and one of the top five most sought after and highest paying jobs, employing more labor, giving room to flexibility, and so much more. Now, for a country with so many or the highest rate of female entrepreneurs globally, we have one of the least participation of women in tech and a very small percentage as well who are interested in pursuing a career or even interested in pursuing a course in tech or even taking up jobs related to tech. And now let's look at 2020, for example, which has given us a lot of good times and a lot of bad times, and also has given us some of the greatest innovations that we will see in the coming years. Innovations that are changing the way that we live, the way that we think, the way that we do business, the way that we interact with each other. Now, the big question is this. With the relatively small number of women who are already participating in tech, and then looking at the huge change that is happening right now, is this a positive sign for women in tech, or is this negative? Is this accounting for a wider gap? A gap that is already existing, is it closing or is it getting even larger? Well, my name is Gertrude Charles, the founder of Strong Women Small Boxes. And you are welcome to a session, Women Impacting Tech, Bridging the Gap. And today we're throwing the spotlight on some of these amazing women in tech who are bridging the gap with their work, with the amazing things they're doing. They are breaking the glass ceilings. They are changing the world around them. And with me today, I have Christy Ilova. Christy, say hi.
Hi.
And I also have with me Esther Omikunle. Hi,
Hi
Esther.
everyone. Hi, it's great to be here.
So I'm going to do a little bit more introduction on you, Esther. So this is a little bit about Esther. She currently is the digital banking developer at First City Monument Bank. She helps to transform many of the bank's new and legacy services to microservices, combining software development and product management efforts. She holds a BSc in computer engineering from Obafemi Awolowo University, quite impressive, and has gone on to take other courses like basic leadership and entrepreneurship course. She is a member of the International Institute of Business Analysis, a graduate mentor of WinBiz, food and travel enthusiast. Really exciting to have you here. I'm quite impressed you actually studied computer engineering. That's amazing. I
Thank you.
think we'll talk
Yes, I
about that.
did. All right.
And on the other hand here, we have Christy. Christy is the current technical team manager at Primed eHealth, where she manages development teams, software patches and upgrades, scheduled and unscheduled maintenance, and she's passionate about professional and problem-solving skills. Right now, one amazing thing about Christy is this: she has trained over 80 people in the She Hacks Africa Coding Bootcamp. So amazing. Really exciting to have you here, Christy.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So I'm going to start with you, Christy. All right. What was the big reason, the big influence for why you went into tech? What influenced your decision?
Okay. So I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but the internet seems to be a bit breaking, but we can hear you fine. Hello, Christy. Hello. Okay, so I think she's having internet issues. She would join us soon. Esther, can you tell us what was your big reason, the big influence, the big why for why you went into tech, especially studied computer engineering of all courses?
Yeah, thank you,
Can you hear me now?
Gertrude. Okay, I would say that.
I'm so sorry.
So this is an upland, right? Um, my interest was actually in mathematics at the time. Yeah, I just love
Amazing.
mathematics. I was going to study mathematics, but thankfully, I was advised that you like mathematics doesn't mean you would study mathematics. What do you want to do? And then I have this fancy
Hmm.
for softwares. Not like really a lot of softwares, but like if there's a new device, I would like to just check it out and just get familiar. So I just was like, okay, I'll go for computer science. I'll go for computer science. Yeah. So I mean, I applied to Obafemi University to study computer science with economics. Yeah, not
Wow.
engineering. Then I applied for computer science in another school, right? But it just sort of happened, right? That I stumbled. That I was given computer engineering and not computer economics, and I'm actually thankful, right? Because over
Amazing.
the years, right, I really got interested in it's one thing to study computer engineering; it's another thing to really go into the practice of technology or
True.
computers
True.
or all of that. So I had at the time I think I was developing interest in networking
Okay.
because programming was cool in class. We did some programming classes. It was cool, but when he gave us like practice questions to go take home, it was usually another case, and I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this, right? But I my part for IT, I one of my lecturers, thankfully for him, he had like a software firm, so I did my IT with him, and I started programming in C sharp. My
Oh,
classes were in Java in school, right? But I started programming in C sharp then. And I just loved it that you could actually build something and you could actually see that application. Then I was building web applications with C sharp and then web
okay.
and then it was just good to see that I could build something. And then I remember one of the projects I worked on with my boss at the time. We used it for a program at the church. It was like a registration application, and it was just
Okay.
amazing to me that I could write something and it could become something that is quite useful. I went on to just continue my part five in school. I did a project that I did by myself was related to what I had done during my IT.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then yeah, you just pick up from there. I remember, I think I got my first job after school. I had interviewed in school, and from there it picked up. It's sort of like programming found me, or we just found ourselves somewhere in the middle, and we taking it up from there. Yeah, that's how it's been for me.
That's amazing. So for you, it's a story of actually passion.
Well,
Like,
passion
I
came
mean,
from later, but at first it was
you
just like a
wanted to
passion
study
person.
this. You actually wanted to study something related to it, even if you did not get exactly
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
wanted. But
actually, yeah.
this was what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
It's amazing. And
Yeah.
what was it like being in school? Did you have so many other women or
Okay.
ladies who were in your department or faculty who were studying the same thing? Or was it a situation of just you and then 100 other guys?
Okay, good question, right? In school, right, I was in computer, so my department is computer science and engineering. So it was a mix of computer science students, computer
Okay,
economics students, and then computer engineering students, right? So
okay.
I think we are in the faculty of technology. So in my department, we had quite a number of females, right? So
Hmm.
this was a spread, like a mixture of computer science, economics, and engineering. For engineering, we're not as much, but we're still quite a number. As opposed to if you had looked at maybe the mechanical engineering, where they had like one female,
Oh,
electrical and
wow.
electronics, and you had some. So we had quite a number of females, but I would say that when we now break it down to like the computer engineering, we're not as much. right? We had definitely had more males. But over my career, I've realized that many times I'm used to like maybe being the only female in my team. Because currently I'm the only
Okay.
female in my team, in my development team. In my last job
Wow.
before this, we were two, like two in my team, right? We had more female developers, about four of us. But say for around 20, in a number of 20 or 25, let's say 20, we were about four ladies. But in my team, we were just two.
Wow.
And then the other job, so I've experienced over the years, it's been like that. I'm used to being in a place where I'm either the only female or one in the few number of females they have in the room because of technology related roles and all of that. Yeah. That's how it's been
Okay,
for me.
so this what you're saying right now is actually something that is very common when it comes to STEM, science,
Yeah.
technology, engineering, and mathematics. We have lots of population of the male counterparts, and then very few women. Welcome,
Yeah.
Christy. Glad to have you join us back.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Oh no,
Yeah,
it's very
thank
fun.
you.
All right. So, Esther, this thing is like something that's pretty common. How does it make you
Yeah.
feel? Or what do you think is the main reason why we have very few women participation when it comes to STEM?
Okay. Okay, I mean, this has actually been a concern, right? Because over time, if you even look at it's better at the lower grades. I would say, like if you're just coming into tech, you may even see like more women. But as you go higher, I've realized
Yeah.
that the number of women even reduce, right? And it's
Yeah.
actually a concern. I think that there are several causative factors, right? And one I have termed, right, as lack of awareness. But lack of awareness in itself is broad. So I would say lack of awareness in many areas in terms of interest, right?
Okay.
You know, there's I'll call it like a mode. I feel like life is about modes. Like maybe the modes they use for ice blocks, the modes they use for normal building blocks,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
the modes that the perception people have about tech, which I also had when I came into. I remember when I was working at my first job earlier in the 2016, 2015, 2015. Yeah, and I was recruited. And I passed my interviews. I didn't even know anyone then. But there was this mode around, the perception people had of tech. If you're a developer and you're not dressing with your hoodies and your sneakers,
Hmm.
you're not a developer. If you're not drinking coffee, living your best life.
Okay.
And, having that kind of perception and then working with a lot of people that are like that, I then begin to question myself, like, am I really cut out for this job? Is this where I should be? And so that kind of mode, someone that has not been within the system and use that. And as ladies, we don't really like sometimes we don't like a lot of unnecessary. I want to live my life. Oh, please
Hmm.
don't give me a job. Take it. So that awareness, even from the outside, is something that actually already kills interest, right? So that story needs to be changed where people can know that technology is actually, I'd like to say, and I actually did blog post on this some time ago, that technology is about the arts, the business, and the science. It's not just the science. There are
Hmm.
so many parts to technology.
Hmm.
There are people that don't write code. You don't need to write code to be in technology. You can have good business sense and be in technology. And there are so many rules. I could share a link to that document where people can just
Okay.
read up, right? So that mode in itself, which is not bad, is just that trying to fit everybody into a particular mode is going to like limit the number of entry into tech. So
Hmm.
awareness in that regard, then awareness about opportunities, right? So in my current role, my boss will sometimes reach out to me and say, Esther, we're trying to get more women, right? More women into these roles. But then I really put out, so I put out on my contact that I need female developers. You guys send me your CVs, and then sometimes these CVs come in and I can actually forward it to my boss because of the experience level. Did you
Okay.
get? So, and I've realized it. At the beginning, you have a lot of, people are getting more interested, and I'm really happy about that. We have more women getting interested. But there needs to be a place of continuity where you
Hmm.
actually know that as I come into this tech, there's a career for me in this. And, navigating and knowing I'm going to continue because at the senior level, they're looking for people that have actually built experience. So imagine you're trying to
Okay.
hire someone. Okay, we're even making a compromise. If you have 2 years experience, solid experience, not necessarily 3 or 5 years, we're going to hire you. But the 2 years experience is not really solid. Maybe the lady started and then maybe she didn't continue. These are several concerns that I have where fine people are starting, but
Mm-hmm.
when they start off, how do we ensure that there's a continuity?
Continuity.
Are there really job opportunities for people with like minimal experience? They're recruiting people. So for me, really, the model that works for me is I think it was my final exam in school, right? And this recruiting company at the time was Venture Garden Group. They were recruiting developers. And my lecturer had just said that, okay, if you're a programmer, right, there's these guys that come to interview like final year students and
Okay.
just come to my office. At the time, I was not even very sure. I just as the
Uh,
programming
I
for
think your network is a bit
yeah,
bad
that was
there.
2015, so I was like 1 year plus. But I
Hi,
wasn't
Esther.
very
I think your network is a bit bad. Can you do something about it? And I'll definitely come back to you for a few seconds there. Hi, Christy. Welcome back. Glad to have you join us again.
Uh, yeah, thank you. I don't understand the network. Can you hear
It's fine. I can
me?
hear you. It's what we have to deal with. So, right before you jumped off, I was actually asking, what was your big influence? What was the main reason, the one big reason, the one big factor that influenced your decision to go into tech?
Okay, so I wanted to like give value. I wanted to have a skill because where I was working then was kind of like just an admin job and it was boring. Mentally, there was no growth. So I just
Okay.
said like, okay, see, I need to be valuable. I don't want someone coming in the office and be like, okay, I think you can't work here anymore because I don't have anything to give. The job I was doing, anybody can do it, and so I just decided
Hmm.
to, okay, I think I should just computer science. So let me just go into what I actually studied, and I have passion for it. So let me just
Okay.
do this and have value. So that's why I went into it.
Hi, Esther. Sorry, Christy. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, just say hi. We are having a bit of network issues, and can you hear me, Christy? I can see you, but I can't. I can hear you, and your voice is kind of breaking.
um
Hi, Esther. Welcome back.
okay, so I was the one that was off. I wasn't seeing or hearing anyone. I was wondering what happened.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Probably network. We're glad to have
Okay.
you. I'm not sure what is wrong with our network today, but so you were talking about awareness and some of the challenges that you have seen happen, and you have also experienced in your line of work as a tech person. And you mentioned how once you're climbing, the number of female participation begins to reduce, and also there isn't that really full-fledged skill that you would like to see more in women. And I would like to ask why do you think that that happens? Because this is actually something I wanted to bring up. And there's a lot of interest right now for women. They want to go into tech. It is exciting. They are curious about it. So they start at that first level, but somehow it doesn't
Yeah.
go past that. So when it comes to, do you actually have the skill to deliver? Sometimes find women lacking. And then when it comes to having women in top or senior positions, we have very few numbers. Why do you think that is so?
Well, I feel like there are many factors, right? I'll tell you a story that I've experienced personally, but I would also first talk
Okay.
about as women, we're, I mean, one of the, okay, let me just tell the
I'm not
story.
sure I can hear you then. You're
I
breaking
was
up.
interviewing at a job at the time,
Okay.
and I mean, I feel like the questions were good. And then you get to the point where you ask me that, what happens when I get married? Can you hear me?
I think you're breaking up. I didn't get that clearly. We are having a bit of network issues. Do join in. Esther is coming back in, and Christy is coming back in also. It is quite interesting to see a lot of women who are doing amazing things in tech and talking about the challenges that they have experienced. Hi, Esther. Welcome back.
Hi. I've switched to my mobile network. Maybe that'll be better. I'm not sure what the issue is
I
this
can
morning.
hear you perfectly well right now.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. I've just
Okay,
switched my
so you're
network.
talking about a story, a very interesting story. I
Yeah.
really want.
Yeah, so I'd gone through the interview process, and then the CEO was asking me that, okay, what if I get married? What happens to like my programming career? Because he had interviewed someone, and when she got married, she had a baby, she da da da, and I'm like, I mean, how does it affect my job, right? I mean, I was giving him examples of people that had known like senior women that had met and were leading teams and they had like marriages and
Mhm.
one even had just had a baby and he was like he wasn't sure if that would like if I would like continue. Just
Okay.
imagine that kind of vibe that was already coming to me. And I'm like, why? If it was a guy, are you going to ask him that when he's married, what happens to
True.
the job? It's a
True.
job, I'll do my job, right? And that's one of the few, I mean, that's just few one of the many scenarios that women experience. There's gender bias, there lack of access to resources, lack of access to infrastructure also. And there are
Mhm.
several other things that you know, already serve as a limiting factor. So imagine that if a lady is trying to navigate, and then another major one, which I think is we don't even get to see a lot of women, or maybe we're not aware, which is also lack of awareness of women who are in the tech space already and are making waves. So you're not even there's really like few women
Yeah.
you can actually look up to and
Yeah.
aspire to. Do you understand? And
Yeah.
these are some of the things that challenges that already so the woman is trying to navigate her way. She's the only one. There's more gender bias because
Mhm.
she has to prove herself more
Mhm.
to show that she's actually capable. I mean, many scenarios you have to just show that I can actually do the job because they're like, are you sure? We've not seen a woman do this. Do you understand?
Mhm.
And it's a lot of she has to do more. And thankfully, there are more women coming up, but still, it's not enough, right? And it's a major challenge that I'm actually looking at how that can be solved. Where even as much as we've developed interest of started, I know that what I try to do is just share some posts and just encourage some people and just say you can actually do this. But then when they even start, let's break it down. So they've started and they've gone through a boot camp, they've gone through a code camp, and they need like a job to like practice. But
Yeah.
then they're going to those jobs, they're saying they want people with 3 years of experience or 5 years of experience, and they can't even start. So they then need to develop, which is why I would then advise that they need to start doing like projects by themselves that would
Okay.
actually make people know that I can do this job. So if that's one thing, then having people that they can look up to, people that can speak on their belt and say, "Oh, she can do the job." Do you get that kind of
Yeah.
thing? Also helps, and so these are just some of the challenges. Because again, you know that in a scenario, if you have had like several women in a row, and people can see that actually when this woman picks up this job, this was really well done. The next time a woman is coming to interview for that role, they're more eager, right,
True.
to take her onto
True.
that role. But when it's really scarce, it then becomes difficult because you then need to prove yourself. And proving yourself is not bad. I'm all for excellence. But
Mhm.
you need to do that at another level and at a higher level. But thankfully, right, what we then need women need to know about opportunities like communities they can join, that can
Yeah.
actually, yeah, so they
Absolutely.
give them, I feel like communities, I discovered communities late, right? Because communities create a leverage that you may not have had. I mean, and there's so many communities. If we could get to the question maybe later, there's so many communities that women can join, both female led, male led, together led, everything led,
Mhm.
that they can actually join, and it will sort of just help them develop confidence, learn new skills, get to know about opportunities more. Because again, sometimes opportunities are out there,
Available.
but you don't know where they are because you're probably not in a
Mm.
community. I remember that there was a time I had told my friend I was looking for a job at the time, and he had just sent me one link, and through that link, I see like a lot of job opportunities. You know, so having
Wow.
people in the community that you can talk to, these are just some of the things that can actually help. And you know, over time, I think as we have more women develop interest, right, and they actually continue, right,
Okay.
it will create like it's going to create a ripple effect of more women in the senior level over time. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, thank you so much for that. I want to bring you back to something you said earlier, where I think you mentioned in your first job where there's this like a stereotype of how you are supposed to look or dress, and if you're not dressing that way, it didn't feel
Yeah.
like you knew what you were doing, right? It didn't feel like
Yeah.
you didn't seem like a techie person. Doesn't mean it's not like you
Exactly.
could not do that because you're not putting on a certain kind of outfit. And then
Yeah.
also with your interview where you're being asked, what if you do get married now? How would you be able to, as if it actually does impact your ability to do your job?
Hmm.
Now, you've raised amazing points that I actually want to point out also. You mentioned continuity and the need for a support system and all of those. And you also mentioned that you got to know the usefulness of a support system of a community. Do you think there
Yeah.
are enough communities out there that actually are there to empower women, to like bring in more women interest, to highlight the successes of others? Because one of the reasons why a lot of women are not pursuing careers in tech is because they are not seeing people doing it. There's
Exactly.
no spotlight on the women who are doing it. There's no one showing them how successful they can be. There's no one showing them the lucrativeness of the opportunity. So, do you think there are actually communities that can, one, um, foster this growth? So, when they start learning, they can continue learning, they can get jobs, and as well as feel confident enough by seeing what other people are doing.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Okay, I just want to put it out there first and foremost that, like I said earlier, technology is broad, right? It's more than programming. And yes, there are communities. Fine, we can have more, right? And we can then have more where we actually like have different focuses. For instance, you have communities where I know there's several. You have She Could, you have W Tech, we have Tech for Her, we have
Yeah.
there's several. But we can then begin to, because some of these are focused on the young ones, right? Which is
Yeah.
amazing. Let's groom them and get them in. Let's have like other ones that maybe focus on. So you're growing in your career. Like you now
Hmm.
need a support team. For instance, I will give an example, but it's not tech related. There's a 9 to 5 chick. I really like them. Not a 9 to 5, because what I can see there is I'm growing in my career, and there are people that can actually relate to like the challenges I face as I grow. So if you have the
Hmm.
kind of community in tech where we're then focused on, okay, fine, you're in, and then you need to grow, you need to navigate, because another challenge I've seen, I mean, I think about these things a lot, which is yeah.
It's amazing. Please.
Yeah, another challenge I've seen is that you can even have many women get to like senior levels, but then it's now rare to see them in C-suites. In the C-suite, we have some women, but it's rare to find. In short, in Africa, in big companies, I don't know how many CTOs and CIOs are female. If they are, they are going to be really. There are some. I mean, I follow South Africa. I see there's some, but they're quite minimal. So if we cannot have like communities that go beyond the grassroots and say, now that you are growing, this is
Hmm.
like support system. Maybe I should start one. I don't know.
It sounds very good. It sounds quite good. I like it.
Yeah, so that would be nice to have. So there are several communities, right? There's a general one like the Google developer community. There's the Facebook developers community. There and then there's this website and they have an app. It's called Meetup, right? They
Yeah.
have you can if you go to meetup.com, you would see you can search for your programming language. You can search for and you see people in these communities, right? That you can join and be a part of. But what I was trying to say earlier is that technology is beyond the programming part. And my reason for
Mm.
saying this is because many times when we're looking at communities, we're looking at Google developer group, Facebook developers community, She Code, da. But there's
Yeah.
some other ones like the Business Analytics Community of Nigeria, the BACN. There are others like the Product Manager Group. Because tech, like I said earlier, is there are people who are technical writers, there are people who are UI UX designers, there are people who are business analysts, there are people who are business
Mm.
relationship managers, there are people who are product managers, project managers, and there are groups for this, but maybe we don't hear a lot, or maybe because we're not searching. Which brings me back to lack of awareness. We are as individuals need to do more work, we need to do more research. We need to then check out for what are the business analyst communities, what are the other things I can do in tech if it's not programming. I probably share the link with you. Maybe you can share, people will join the session
Absolutely.
where people can actually see the other things they can do in tech. And yeah, I'll probably do another post. I was actually going to do it, but I sort of reflect. I'll do a post that has something on the communities you can join, and there are several. And if you don't see one, start one. Do you get? That's how communities actually start. Do you
Absolutely.
get? You can
Yeah.
actually start one. So yeah, that's what I have to
Now,
say.
so if there's so many communities that women can participate, how come we're not seeing the spotlight on some of the amazing things that these women are doing? Because this is what will go a long way in encouraging more people to not just start or show interest in tech, but also like go ahead. Because once you see that there's an opportunity in something, it spikes interest
Yeah.
and passion, and then people are pursuing it. So if there's
Mm.
so many communities, why then are we not seeing so many women on the
Yeah.
spotlight showing us how beautiful it is in the tech world?
Yeah, that's a valid question. So I remember before I started, like I said, I joined communities late, right? Before I joined communities, when you check out, like sometimes check out like Why Nigeria and all these sites that put
Mm.
up like women in tech, you get to see like sometimes you just see this particular set of women across this because those are the ones that the
Yes.
spotlight is seen on, right? Whereas there are many more. And this is a
Yeah.
challenge I actually used to speak to some of my colleagues. Unfortunately, they're still guys that you guys are good, right? You guys, some of these guys know their onions. I mean, I work with some very amazing people, but you don't know them. It's a
Mm.
challenge. Because sometimes, I mean, that's a challenge you have in technology. You're so busy in your work, you really don't have time to, put yourself out there, which we then
Yeah.
need to work on. It's a challenge to us. Sometimes we have women who are, I mean, I know some female developers. I work with some, and they're good, but we don't see them out there because sometimes they don't just have the flair for communities. Sometimes they are so engrossed in work. But I think that if we have like maybe that scenario where you now have like maybe a community that focuses on people who are growing in their work, where it's not like every day you have to be at meetups, but they then realize this is the what's the word now? This is what this level or this phase of developers are going
Yeah.
through. How can we adapt to them so that they can also show? And maybe if you have something like that, they can encourage. Then for the people who are coming in, who are the entrants, I think that sometimes some communities may seem overwhelming at start, but I'll just say just join. I mean, you may feel like you don't have a voice. Just join. Somehow navigate your way. You don't know when. You don't know, and then attend events. That's how you know about some communities. Some people don't attend events. They don't even look at this now. Look at this kind of program. I mean, on the panel for this program, they're all female. That's amazing. Sometimes it's
Which
very
is
like,
amazing.
right? So if you have women attend this event, for instance, they would have heard about one or two communities they can join. So that's another way for them to also get aware about the opportunities. Yeah.
True. I'm going to come back to you on community. We're going to talk extensively on that. Welcome back, Christy. Can you hear me?
Thank
Can I hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I
I
can
don't know.
hear
I had
you.
to, I had to like change phone. I didn't even know what was wrong, whether it was the network. I really do not know, but it's fine. I'm
It's
here.
really trying to work with us today, but I can hear you, I can see you, and that is good. So, your very first question, back to it again. What was your big why for why you went into tech?
Okay, so my big why, like I said, was value. I just wanted to give value. I didn't want to be ordinary. I wanted to have a skill. So at least when I come out to say something, people listen to me. So yeah, value. I wanted to give value everywhere I go. So that's basically
And
that was my
why did
push.
you think it
That was my
was
push, really.
tech that would give you that ability to give value? Right, there were other options, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I actually studied computer science, and that's all I've known. So it was something, and I love solving problems. So
Okay.
you're working with software, and yeah, and it's working, it gives you that joy. In as much as it makes you cry sometimes, but there's this joy attached to it. So yeah, so that's basically it. I was into UI at some point. That was like 2015. Then left it because I felt like, yeah, I know I studied computer science, but that doesn't mean I should do it. Then I left it for some time. Of course, I don't know. I think I was my destiny and this programming thing is tight. I come back to it, and now I'm fully in. So yeah.
That is amazing and quite similar to Esther, funny enough. So let me ask you something that I did ask also. For you, was it a situation of passion? Was it passion that made you
Okay.
study computer science? Because it is not something that's quite common with the female gender, especially in this part of the world. Was it passion? Were you pushed into it, or was it a situation of whatever the school gave me?
Oh, okay. So it was passion. My dad actually wanted me to study computer engineering, like Esther. But he said computer science is a roadside job. You can just go to a cafe and that's it. You know computer. You need to study computer.
Oh my God, and we lost her there. We absolutely lost her. I really, really wanted
But
to hear
today
that
was
story.
getting interesting.
I look forward to her coming back to finish that. Oh, and she's back. Hi. Okay.
Hi.
So your dad wanted you to study computer engineering because he felt like computer science was a roadside job.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, but I had to prove to him. I had to prove it. That's it. This is it. This is it. And he was like, okay, fine. This is what you want to do then. I don't think I have anything to say. So you can go for it. So basically,
So for you, how was it in your department? Was it a 1 to 100 mil, or did you have other females studying the same course with you? What did you feel like?
uh, I think we were many. Maybe compared to comprehension, I think we're okay. Let's say I went to University of Abuja, so let's say out of 300, maybe they had like 100 females, or
Oh
maybe
wow,
100 and yeah. So we're many.
that's
Females are
amazing.
many. But it's not
And
all of them that are into it. You get, they've all
it's
left
not all
it.
of them
Some
that
are
what?
doing business. Yeah, they've all left the whole tech. Some are doing business, some are doing teaching, some are big people in their organizations. So yeah,
And
basically, I think it's
that is
like,
something that I was actually talking about with Esther, the issue of continuity. So we have a lot of
yeah.
women show interest in tech, and then somehow they don't follow through. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, actually, because of course, its stereotype is there, and some, mm, sometimes women, okay, sometimes let me start with myself. I don't want to say women. Yeah, before now, you will find it difficult to think, right? Maybe because I'm the last born, whatever decision I want to make, I have to take from my parents. So now programming is something that you have to think. Like there's nobody
Hmm.
that's going to think about it for you. You have to think. So when they start thinking about things, they just tend to be like, I don't think I can continue with this. Let me just remain where I am. I'm comfortable where I am. I don't want to continue. So that's why they don't go further with it. Yeah, and
So
of
are you
course,
saying
people always tell you
it's
you don't have
hard?
to do that. Is a man's world. No, tech is mostly male. You can't do it. Things like that.
Did you get a lot of that? It's a man's world. There's no need for you to go into that. Did you get a lot of that? Hi,
Sorry.
Choma. Welcome.
Hi.
Christy, I was asking, yeah, you mentioned that a lot of people get discouraged. They're told it's a man's world.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I can't seem to hear you clearly.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, although your face is frozen, but I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Oh, and she's gone again.
I'm here. I'm here.
And
Can
back.
you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. So yeah, I did. In fact, they told me when I told them I wanted to, I think if I wanted to go into back end and all, they were like,
Hmm.
you should do UI. UI is perfect for women. Those women are good
Okay.
with design. So I think you should stay there. That was it. So I told myself, see, there's nothing you're going to tell me. I don't have much flair for design. See, there's nothing you're going to tell me. I'm going to do this. So yeah,
I like
then
that.
sorry.
I like that. I like that you knew what you wanted to do and you
Yeah,
stuck
you
with
have
it.
to have yeah, because you need to push yourself. Nobody's going to push yourself for you. You need to push yourself. When they're telling you, no, you can't do this. Of course, you know you can't do it. So you have to go for it, right? So yeah,
Hmm.
basically. But they were after all, when I entered into it, they became open. Like they were nice, they were receptive, they were always helping and everything. So that was it until and now that problem of helping is actually another problem because they tend to see you as a princess. Oh no, you can't do this. I think
Ah,
this task is too hard for you. Give it to the guys. No,
ah,
things like that, and that's a big problem because you will not learn if they keep doing it for
true,
you. You won't learn. So
true.
yeah, so basically that's it. That's it.
This is very interesting, and I'll come back to you and we'll talk about that some more. Esther, did you have any of the same experiences being told it's a man's world? Did anybody try to discourage you from going into tech?
Well, I like stories. I'll tell you a story, but I'm coming to the story. Yeah, so for me, right, the way I entered tech was training. Like immediately after school, I just got the interview and I got the job. And where I worked, and so the good thing for me was where I worked was a very warm environment, right?
Okay.
And I was assigned to someone, that's my first job. I was assigned to someone who was open to letting me learn and do the job. So I was a
Hmm.
back end guy, right? So he would then give me tasks, and I would do them. If I had issues, I'll talk to him, and it was good. So the point where I had issue was when someone was trying to be chauvinistic. So
Hmm.
thankfully, I have my voice, and you know I think the one and only time I actually had a major argument at work was when someone was trying to be chauvinistic at me. You can have like personal issues, but when it comes to work, don't come out and be
Yeah.
chauvinistic. I
Okay.
had gone on leave, and this guy, that didn't understand what my code was about. I presumed, and then he was like, yeah, like what I had done was not it, da da da, and he was just bringing all those things. I'm like, come, do you even understand what this is about, right? So for me, I mean, I like what Christy said about knowing what she wanted. I didn't
Mm,
get the I no, I didn't get the it's a man's world, but I saw it because it was literally men, men, and men, right? But
mm,
I was able to, which brings me to excellence because why they would have more voice over you is when you're not good at what you do, right?
true,
So
true.
when you're good at what you do, I mean, most of the teams I've worked at, I mean, I've tried my best to show excellence, I ask questions. I'm not afraid to ask questions because if you
Okay.
don't ask questions, you have to ask from the right people, not people that will just make jest of you and go away. But if you ask from the right people, you actually learn, right? So for
Mm,
me, I had people that thankfully I had some great people I worked with who were able to let me work. So another thing which I've learned, which is related to what Christy said, is I realized that times where maybe the person that I was supposed to work with is on leave or something, and I was giving like you have to do it. It sort of challenged me
mm,
and made me realize that I could actually even do more, and that is work. So I would say don't shy from a challenge, right? When there's a challenge, don't if you have issues with it, ask questions, but don't shy from it because it actually gives you opportunity to show that you can actually do more, and that's how you can
true.
keep growing as a woman in tech because these opportunities may not be thrown at you at the first time,
Mm,
right? So you need to then, when it come at you, show that I can actually take it up and then have
mm,
conversations, right? So I learned from when I was in my mentorship with Wimbies, my mentor would tell me that, okay, what am I trying to achieve? I should have some conversations with my boss. Before I was a little, to myself. But if you don't
yeah,
show what you're doing, if you don't have those conversations, nobody would know
yeah.
how good you are, right? Even though nobody will tell you it's a man's world, they are thinking in terms of, oh, if you want to assign a team lead, it goes to the guy. If you want to this, it goes to the guy. But
Mm,
when you need to show that I'm here and I'm smart, I can do the job you get. So they begin to then bring the work to you that may not have been brought to you. Yeah.
mm. Thank you for sharing, Esther. This actually makes me want to ask both of you, actually, Esther and Christy. You have handled some of the situations quite well, and you've had somebody sort of, maybe not vocally, but in their actions, refer to you as a princess techie, and giving you the less important roles, or maybe not even giving you as much work as you can handle or deserve. And I'd like you to share one example where it was remarkable, how you handled it. And also, do you think that other women are able to handle it when they find themselves in these issues? Let me start with you, Christy.
Okay. The thing is, okay, like Esther said she gives stories. So let me give my own story. So, so one day they came to me and there was this project we were working on and they said to give me a task. So when the team lead then saw it and he was like, I think a guy will handle this task better. So
Okay.
Dele should handle. And okay, fine. No problem, no problem. Then I had to go and talk to Dele. I said, Dele, I know they gave you this task, but please let me handle this task. And well, it came out well, and I did it right on time. So in my mind, I was in your face, boss, as much as so
I
that's
think I lost
basically
you there.
so that's just basically what happened. Because then, of course, he couldn't say, I was the one that did it. So like, can you hear me? Can you
I
hear me
can hear
now?
you. I can hear you.
Okay, okay. So yeah, so basically, Dele told my boss that, oh, I was the one that did the task, and he was impressed. So yeah, like what Esther said, you have to show yourself. You have to prove to them that you can do this thing. So they stop seeing you as the princess. Like we're
Did
humans.
that
See
change?
me as you. We're doing the same thing.
Did that change things for you in the office after that event? Did it
Yeah,
make them treat you
yeah. Actually,
differently?
of course. Why? How did I become a team a team manager? And again, I had the management skills too. So, of course, I grew to the position basically.
Amazing, amazing. What about you, Esther?
Okay, for me, I can't remember like an explicit scenario where someone said she couldn't do that. I can't really because actually in my current role, I've thankfully I've been able to take up tasks where when they're bringing on a project, they can say, okay, Esther and this person are working it, and we're
Hmm.
good. We do that. Okay, she can. But I can't really remember. But I've seen it, right? I've seen where,
Okay.
especially in a case where you're okay, maybe I experienced it, but it wasn't a lot. So you actually when you're just coming in, right, and you've been
Hmm.
assigned to work with someone, it depends on that person. Actually, that and it depends on you, but that person actually plays a crucial role to how you grow sometimes. Because
Hmm.
if the person is not giving you tasks, or is just telling you, oh, just do this, something that is not
Hmm.
related to the task, to the main project, it's going to limit you. And there is so much to how you can
Hmm.
talk when you're coming in as a new entrant, right? So that worked because the person I first worked with, actually I worked on a project in the company, right? It was
Yeah.
I mean it may not have been a lot of it, but I worked on it and it was visible that, oh, I could do this. And then even within my first job, I think they moved me to another project, so that showed growth. But I've seen a scenario. I don't want to name names or anything, but this lady was a lady. She was assigned to a guy, an Android developer, but the guy would not give her a lot of tasks, and it just sort of so it didn't show that she could do a lot. But this lady has gone
Hmm.
on to do a nano degree in Android development. So for that kind of person, I would say, please go ahead and do side projects because you need to show that, and you may then need to go speak to someone senior. I don't know how, depending on your relationship in your place of work, you can just
Yeah.
say, oh, I feel like I can take on more tasks than I'm currently doing. Or can you give me something to work on to just show that I can actually do it? Because if you have someone that doesn't give you work, nobody will know that you can do it.
True. True.
Yeah, actually.
I really like what you
And they
said
don't know
there.
that.
And go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Christy.
No, they don't know that the more tasks you do, the more you grow. I don't
Yes,
know
sir.
their plan if they're trying not to make you grow. But actually, the more tasks you handle, the more, more you grow.
Yeah.
So
And
And
yeah.
one
that's
thing I've
that's
learned
also
from
okay.
what you both said is the importance of actually knowing what to do or having the right skill set. Because once it
Hmm.
seems as if you're being sidelined and you cannot really step up,
Yeah.
then
Mm-hmm.
you find yourself out the door. So it's really important at this stage that women are equipping themselves with the right skills, with the right tools, with everything they need. So when the situation comes up, they can take charge. And I like that
Yeah.
you both have been doing that. It's amazing.
Thank you. I think another thing that I would just want to add to that is we shouldn't run from tasks. I'm learning it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to be lazy. Not even because I can't do it, I just want to be lazy. But please don't run from it because you don't know the work that would that would sort of so some so depending on where you work, how your organization is, some organizations, some projects are very key. And if you work on a particular project, you can be made, quote and unquote, because
Hmm.
they'll throw more work
Yeah.
at you, you can get more bonuses. So don't run from, I mean, last, just go and ask questions. Like, okay, have friends, build relationships, ask questions and take on the work. Oh, that's it.
Asking
Yeah.
questions.
True.
Let's look at asking questions now. In
Okay.
in a situation where you have probably just you're only the female member in a team or even in a whole company. Do you
Mhm.
think women find it difficult asking their male counterparts for questions, or they rather pretend rather than ask and
Mhm.
make it seem like you don't know what you're
Who should answer? Should I go first?
Okay.
uh,
Okay. Go
yeah,
for it.
go ahead,
Is that
Esther.
me? Eddie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, so this brings us to relationship management and emotional management. First and foremost, sometimes when we don't ask questions, we're already scared of how we'll be perceived, right?
Mm,
And it's a thing. But for me, right, I mean, I ask questions because of course I'll think through, and even if it doesn't fully make sense, I'll still ask my questions. But now let me manage that. First and foremost, there are so many online forums for the questions you may have. There's Stack Overflow, there's GitHub environment, there's a lot, C Sharp Arena, that you can actually go to for some of the issues you have, right?
Mm.
If that doesn't solve it, then you should have, maybe if you've built relationships, if you have, because I've worked with amazing guys. So there are some people that will not go and ask questions. There's some people like that. That's how you have to know them. But there's some people that you can go ask, and when you're going to ask, you already detailed. There's this thing they call a doc. I can't remember whether the yellow doc. I can't remember the scenario where you talk as if you're talking to a yellow doc. Oh, this is the issue I'm having. You're talking to nothing, or maybe just an item. So this is the issue I'm having. Da da da. Okay, and in the process of doing that, you may find the solution by yourself because as you're trying to
Okay.
articulate your question, say, "Oh, okay, not to worry, I got it." So before you go meet someone, maybe it's your first time. Try to do that as if, okay, I'm talking to someone, but not nobody. But I'm just say, "Oh, please, I need your help with this." Try to articulate your question. So if you don't find a solution in that process, you would have found a better way to put the question and then go ask. Worst thing is they'll say, "Oh, so you didn't know this," or you say, "Oh, I just forgot," or "Oh, I'm just trying to make sure I'm correct," or da da da, and you just put it out there. So, and then you've asked, right? Because if you don't ask again, you may even know, but it may be that you're not supposed to go through that approach, right? And
Mm.
I feel like this even goes beyond tech. It's always good to ask questions when you've been given a task to work on. Sometimes they just bring to you a project and they say, "Oh, you need to do this." I'll go back and ask, "Okay, do you mean this? Do you understand?
Mm.
Okay, this is what I've seen you said. Is this what you actually meant?" And it just shows
Mm.
that okay, we're on the same page. And then they can say that okay, this doesn't understand. Because when you go ahead to develop, and it's a problem we have as developers, they say develop it, you just go bam. They bring but say, "No, that's what we wanted." And then you be like, "But that's what you said." So you go back and reiterate that, okay, this is what you meant. Right. And when it comes to development issues, to me personally, I have people that I can disturb and they know me when I have issues alpha because when you answer me, when you come to me, I also answer you. So you should be fine.
So ask questions. Go to forums. Practice talking to yourself. You might get a solution even before you ask. Build relationships. I like that. There's a question hanging in there, and I'll come to it. What about you, Christy? Have you had a
Yeah.
situation where it comes to asking questions and all of that?
Okay. So I always tell my students, right? If it doesn't matter how silly the question is, just ask, right?
Okay.
So now back to the question where you have to, if we have only males, right? If I'm going to ask, in fact, I think I even prefer asking males, funny enough, than females. Or I've not really had. I don't think I've been in a situation where I hardly see female developers around me. I don't know where they are hiding. I know there are many out there, but I don't
Exactly.
think I've been in a company. I don't think I've been in a company where there's another female. But yeah, I always ask. Like
Hmm.
I would ask. I would disturb your life if you need to
Yes.
help me. Yeah. So yeah, I always ask. I always ask.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
So
another thing, right? Gertrude, another thing is which comes to relationship management. You can have guys that are outside your company, that are developers, that are project managers.
nice.
That works too. So you don't want to ask your colleague so that you don't look too stupid. But you're in a community of
Yeah.
developers. You can raise a call, Alpha, I have this issue, or drop it in your community group that this, that, that. So it doesn't even have to be within your company, but ask
Hmm.
questions.
This
Yeah.
actually reminds me of something I read, sort of a research, sort of, and so a group of female developers had gone to a forum, won't mention names, and then they asked questions, right? And then you could clearly see that the person who was asking the question was female, and then they compared the result of responses they got from what they got when it was male people or male counterparts who asked the same questions. If it was a man who asked the same questions, they got answers to their solutions, right? Now, if it was women who asked the questions, they got being talked down, being told they were stupid or they were not good enough or they were just not equipped enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, will you, is asking forums, does that mean that people should, because I think the next thing they went to do after the whole research was create another account as a man, asking the same question before they got the right answers. Do you have anything to say about that?
No,
So,
not really. Not really. Not
okay,
What
really.
okay.
about you? Esther?
I think sometimes it actually boils down to people, and it actually boils down again to gender bias in people because sometimes people just look at you, oh, what does she know? Or I mean, because it's just a woman, they just have this already. It's just there, and people just need to work on themselves and realize that whether man or woman, I mean, the idea is to get the job done. And when someone is asking a question, I really like what Chrissy said, and that's what I believe. No question is too stupid to ask because if you don't ask that question, you're going to go ahead and do something that may not be correct, or even if it's correct, you will
Yeah.
have that. So I mean, when people ask questions in conferences, I mean, I've attended trainings where the teacher just goes and says, I mean, after school, and he tells you, I mean, answer me anyhow, ask me any question, because that's the way to grow. So I think that people just need to work on themselves better. If anybody, even as women, when another woman asks you a question that may seem quite stupid, don't make it look so like it's quite stupid. You say, oh, interesting question. Now, why not do this thing? So we all need to work on ourselves. We need to also ensure that when you want to ask a question, also sometimes it's good to do your research because there's some people you cannot ask stupid questions from, like your bosses sometimes. Yeah, sometimes you have to do your research. So when you're even asking a
Yeah.
question, you're coming to facts. Oh, I already checked Google. I did this already, just to run it by you and be sure it's the same thing. Do you get?
Yeah.
It's just the interview used to make sure that they don't take it as a question.
Thank you so much for throwing more light on that. And so there's something that has been on my mind. I actually want to ask: have any of you ever had experience of imposter syndrome? Been given a big job, or you've been given a new role, a new appointment, whatever it is, and then boom, it hits, and you feel like, I don't think I can do this. I think I'm a fraud. I don't think I have the skills. I don't think I can. I mean, how did I even get this job? How did I convince them to even hire me? Let me start with you, Esther.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
Okay.
I had imposter syndrome a lot starting out. But I think as women, we like, I don't know, I'm just assuming, because I do. I like to like have people that I can just look up to and see and all of that stuff. So when I started out, I would ask myself, am I sure that I'm as good as I even think? And I mean, because then I was in a lot of communities. You see a lot of people that are just out there talking, showing themselves. You're like,
Mhm.
very good though. I'm not even sure where I am. Whereas, well, I'm actually delivering on my job. At least they've not sacked me, right? But I'm just having the doubt, and it affects especially when you're not looking to grow, right? Or
Mhm.
when you're looking to negotiate salaries, or when you're looking to change jobs. So what I've learned, which I've seen with my own eyes, is that many times guys don't wait until they have all the skills before they
Okay.
actually apply for a
Yeah.
job. They don't wait until they have all the skills before they apply. Tell them I want a promotion. But as women, we're very detailed. We want to be sure that we take, if not 100%, we take like 90%, and it affects me a lot, right? But then I've worked with some guys where you hear that this guy went to India to train. This guy did this, and you're working in the same team, and the guy is always disturbing you. You're the one putting him through everything, and I'm like, what? Like, what the heck? Some guys that claim you know all these things, and you know what's more annoying? They may be in senior roles and they don't know it. I mean, I've worked with some people who are like senior, and then the guy will bring his work to you. Do you get? So
Mhm.
that was a teacher or a lesson to me that I mean, sometimes even when I feel like I'm not that good, I would apply for the job. I mean, the worst that happen is we're sorry to inform you that we can't go ahead at the moment, right? But so women, I
Yeah.
mean, I have experienced. I feel like sometimes I still experience imposter syndrome. What I just remind myself is that there are guys that wouldn't have half of my skills. I will go ahead
Mhm.
to take this job. I used to be very bad at negotiating salaries, right? Because I wasn't just that confident. But I've then realized that people will go ahead, they have sweet mouths. And they'll bamboozle everybody, they will negotiate well, and when it's time to deliver, they may not do as well. So that's what works for me. I just remind myself I can actually, and I'm a very fast learner. So I always remind myself,
Mhm.
even if I don't do it, I can actually learn it. So even when I have imposter syndrome, I mean, I read up on women who have imposter syndrome. I realize it's not just in tech. I see that even women who are like CEOs, sometimes they're like, "Are you sure?" Will they realize one day that I'm not a fraud? I'm a fraud, and I just say it's a thing. I will just continue. Whenever it comes, I'll just I can do it. So that's what works.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
What about you, Chrissy?
So yeah, if I say I haven't experienced it, I'll say I'm lying. So yes, I have. I have actually. Can you hear me?
I
Or
can hear you.
okay. So yeah, even to this point where I am, like as a team lead, it's still I still experience it. But there's something about having a mentor, right? So when you
Mm.
have a mentor, you keep of course you have to bug the mentor. I have this mentor and sometimes I feel down. I be like, I don't think because sometimes you just have this thing and it's so much you can't even think. It seems like I don't know. Like you can't put through this stage. Like this is it for you. This is the end of the road. There's nothing you can do right now. But when you talk to this mentor, he keeps encouraging you, or he or she keeps encouraging you. See, you can do this. Look at this female. Look at this female. Look at this guy. You know this, and it starts encouraging you. Up to this moment, like Esther say, I still feel it. Like I still have that. I still have it. So yeah, basically. So yeah, so
And
what I'll say is have a mentor just have a mentor. Mentor is everything. Have someone you could talk to when you start
Yeah.
feeling down. Read online. You see people always have that. They talk about it. So read how people manage it. Right? So yeah, basically.
so you mentioned a mentor. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be wondering, how do I get a mentor?
Hmm.
How did you find your
Yeah.
mentor?
Okay. It was my former place there. Then I was working as an admin. Yeah. So I was working as an admin, and he was a developer then, just a developer before he became a CTO. So he had this thing, like I think he had this, how will I put it, he was patient. And when I told him that, see, I really want to go into this programming, he was basically one of the few people that told me, I think you can do it. So he's been there the whole time for me, right? So yeah, that's basically how I met him. But still, you can meet. I think I heard Esther saying you can go for programs like this. You meet mentors. You can go for meetups. You
Mm.
meet mentors. Yeah. Then someone, your friend, if a male developer, a female developer, can also be a mentor to you. Even your boss can be a mentor. So yeah, that's how I met mine.
Yeah.
Interesting. What about you, Esther? Do you have a mentor? How did you meet your mentor?
Okay, mentorship. That's a very big topic. Right? Okay, unofficially, before I used to have like, I used to say, well, I have like mentors from afar, right?
Mm.
Before I did my Wimby's mentorship program, I didn't have like quote and unquote like an official mentor. I had people that I could go talk to, but it wasn't like the official role where everything you go talk to the person. But I had several people that I followed, right? And
Mm.
I was learning from them, listening to them, reading their books, or just just learning from them. And I feel like that's a form of mentorship, right?
Yeah.
But truthfully, though, as one grows in their career, they may need to get more intentional about mentorship and even sponsorship. Even me, I'm still looking for sponsor. But at least I have people that I feel like I can talk to, right? I have someone
Mm.
currently. So during my Wimby's mentorship program, they assigned me to someone that I could actually talk to, although it wasn't just for my tech career, it was for my life in general, right? And
Mm.
she was someone I could actually relate with a lot, and she really helped me. Actually, that year, I actually was able to make some traction in my career because of the advice she gave. But apart from her, I also have someone else who that is actually my pastor, but is like a senior person in tech in the fintech industry. So anytime he will be like, Esther, have you done this exam?
Mm.
Do you know about someone is just talking generally? I'm just picking that which one is Sophia levels? Please, I did know about that. And he's the one that talks about the things that and because he has gone way ahead, I mean he's been group CIO somewhere and all of that stuff, he's able to shed more light to how I can actually things I need to be doing when I'm confused as to do I need to do this exam or not. He's able
Mm.
to like shed more light. And I also like so me, I value events, right? I mean, I don't attend all events, but when there's strategic ones where I go because I feel like okay, this person is doing what I really want. I want to hear how he speaks, how she speaks, how what can I learn from her. So mentorship is good. And again, Christy said something that many times we don't look at. Sometimes your bosses can be good mentors, but
Mm.
you need to observe. You need to be relationship emotional intelligence is quite important. You need to observe the person, and if you
Mm.
realize this person has a lot of things you want, it's not you're not going looking for favors. You're not going saying, please, I need money. You're going to say, oh, this is what I'm thinking of. This is what I've observed. What do you think about this? You can start with your
Mm.
teammate, going to the person and saying, okay, what is expected of me? Maybe over time, when you're able to deliver on that and say, oh, I've done this, what's next? Person realizes you're a serious person. So you can go and say,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I'm looking for in terms of my career now, not just this job. Can you give me an advice? So, but you need to know the kind of person, you have to be wise. So I think I found out in one of my bosses where sometimes when my boss talk, he just like that, but he has insight. So I know where to go to him and be like, boss, what do you think about this, and he helps. So yeah, mentors are very good.
Um, I actually really do like the fact that you have people covering like different aspects of your life. So it's not just business, there's spiritual, there's personal. So it's giving you this like well-rounded experience. So
Yeah.
what I want to ask now is this. It sounds like most of your mentors are male. Am I correct? If not all.
Well, the
Yeah.
one that are like official, more male than I've had a female mentor, right? I've
Okay.
had a female mentor, but we have like more males. But I have people. So if you're talking about tech, it's more male. But if you're talking about
Mom,
life and maybe
mhm.
general,
Do you think having a female
Yeah.
mentor might really impact your journey as a techie, or especially when you're starting right now and maybe in the future? Do you think having a female mentor might actually have some impact on your journey?
it would be nice. It would be really nice. Professionally, I think it may be nice, right? Because it's just okay. Growing up, okay, so you see, I talk about tech, but I talk about several other things. Growing up, I was the first child, right? And I just used
Mm.
to look for, okay, who are the women I can actually look up to that I just like the way their life is that I want to be like. That was general. And I just saw some women then, right? So it sort of gives one what to look up to. Do you get? There's
Mm.
I don't know why her name is going off my mind. She's with Prime Atlantic. She's their business process head of something. I can't remember, but she's with Wimbies, right?
Okay.
When I was doing my search, I don't know why her name is going off my mind right now, but if I remember, I'll say it. And she was one of the women I saw that I was like, whoa, wow, this is a senior woman. Then there's Funke
Mm.
Opeke, there's Kem Bego. There's some of these women that have gone ahead. Because for me, right, I love to live a balanced life, which is why I don't like the thing where they say programmers don't have a life. I don't like it personally. That's one of the modes I want to break. But I look at this woman and I'm like, she's able to, she's heading a top role in tech, not necessarily like core tech, but tech. And
Mm.
there are other women like that, and they're able to. Some of them are married, some of them have families, and it's just good to see. Because even when you have the men, it's like, oh, it's a man, da da da.
Mm.
I don't know how he's managing his own firm. But if you're a woman, I want to
Yeah.
see how you're able to manage other things with your work, how you're able to balance all the demands of work, and and
Mm.
just be the woman you should be. And it would be nice. It would be really nice to have that.
So you feel like you'd be able to relate more with a female mentor. Do you think there have been a lot of it around you?
Well, I
Not
don't
so
know.
much.
Virtually, maybe those one I see are far, but like up front, it was just this woman I'm trying to remember her name that I've had a chat with at the time. I'm like, oh, I really like what you're doing, and all of that stuff. So that's the one person I know I've spoken with in tech, but I've not really had like a lot of no.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
Same here.
about you, Christy?
Same here. I've not had any. It was when we were growing up and you see these motivational speakers, and you see that this woman is really doing very fine, and you want to be like her. So you
Mm-hmm.
tend to start looking for her online, you think, things like that. The person is far away. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't. So for me, I don't think you should have a mentor that you cannot talk to. Right? That was what was even happening to
Mm.
me then. I just be like, because they ask you this question, who is your mentor? And you be like, you just call Steve Colbeck one name like that the person doesn't even know if you exist. You don't even know what the person is doing. So yeah, just because you want to have a mentor. But a mentor should be close to you, someone you could call or someone you have access to, even if you don't talk, someone
Access.
you see their life and you get motivated. Yes. So I don't think I've really had a female mentor. Yeah.
Have you tried reaching out to anyone to mentor you? Probably when you're starting or even right now, or are you even looking at reaching out to any female um, mentors?
Yeah, I'd really like to have one. Of course, I've seen females in tech and I admire them, but I've not reached out to anyone yet. But I think I'm going to do that soon. Yeah.
Why not? Is there a particular reason why? Do you feel like they
No,
will
no,
not
no, 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 no,
respond? Uh,
no. No, not at all, not at all. I'm just trying to focus and let me have one mentor for now. So
okay.
yeah, no, not really, not really.
What about you, Esther?
Well, look, I just remember, I actually checked her name now. I just remember the name. That's Folusho Badamosi,
Oh,
right?
okay.
She's the Director of Business Process and Technology at Prime Atlantic. So I reached out to her before, I mean, with all of that, but I've not really been able to build something I can say is quite sustainable there. Not yet. Maybe I'll get to it, right?
Yeah.
But I just remembered something I was going to add. This mentorship we're currently discussing is mostly horizontal. Which horizontal? Vertical, rather. There's a
Okay.
horizontal one that we sometimes miss out of. For instance, I'm looking to transition in my career. There are people who are like
Mm.
vertical who have done that. And I actually have some that I now talk to. I'm like, oh, I want to do this. You're doing it. Like, can you like put me through, or can you share resources with me, or can you share
Mhm.
opportunities with me? So as much as we're looking at vertical mentorship, let's not forget horizontal.
True. Oh no. I think okay. And you're back on. Great.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so there are people in your vertical circles that can also, provide guidance, provide mentorship is supposed to be, sometimes for guidance to add value to the person adding value to you. So I actually, when I think about vertical, like I remember one comes to mind currently that she's vertical. She's not a developer, but she's in a role that
Okay.
I feel like I may want to go on to. So I have these conversations with her. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. That's amazing. And are you mentoring anyone or want to mentor anyone? Because the reason why I ask this is because
Yeah, good question.
a lot of times we do not pass the torch. Both of you find
Mm-hmm.
yourselves at some really interesting points in your life right now where you're doing what you want to do, what you're passionate about. You're living the life, you're building a career, there's hope, there's a future. You can see it clearly, right? Now, but the story is not the same for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, are you doing anything to pass the torch down?
Yeah, actually, I am. Right? I mean, I believe in paying it forward, right? Even though I don't have like an official mentorship thing, I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet. But I have people that can actually, well, some of them call me mentors, but I mean, I don't know. But people that actually, when they have issues in tech, I provide guidance to, provide resources to, share opportunities with. Yes, definitely. I believe in paying it forward. That's definitely one way we're going to bridge the gap in that we have in the gender
Mm.
gap we have in technology. So yeah, I try. I also do so because I can't reach. There's so much people I can reach, but like through my blog, through my posts, sometimes I just ensure that I'm sharing tips that can help, and yeah, I try.
That's awesome. What about
I'm better,
you?
but yeah.
Okay, my students, actually my students, like whenever, because we had different cohorts then I keep telling the girls, like, I know it seems like this is a male dominated place or you see men around you, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to prove yourself to be good. So now most of them come to me and be like, oh, Christopher, I need you to be my mentor, you get. So it's fine. I
Mm-hmm.
think right now I'm mentoring some people because I get calls most of the time. to ask me
Okay.
for some certain things, or they want to go for a particular program or something. Do you think it's nice? So yeah, I get calls, and I don't think I've ever seen any of their calls and be like, oh no, yeah, because you have
Awesome.
to, of course, you have to, yeah, you have to help the girls out there really, because they need help. Some people like, I don't know where to start from. After this cohort, I don't know where to start from. That is where they
Mm,
need you, and you have to guide them, right? So yeah, that's basically. So yeah, I'm mentoring some right now, and it's been amazing because most of them just come up and give me some very nice news, and it makes me happy because you feel like you see someone growing, you see other females growing, you just tend to be happy, like, oh wow.
mm.
And the truth
Women
about the thing is,
empowerment.
when they are there, when they've gone forward, they tend to remember you. Oh, I have this mentor, and I think she'll be very good in this particular thing, and that's how you grow too. They tend to bring you into. So it's good to spread your tentacles everywhere. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what other ways, Esther, do you think that we can bridge this gap? Because, like I said earlier, the pandemic has sort of made things, it has changed the landscape, it has changed what we know and what will be happening after now, right? And we
Yeah.
already have few participation of women in tech and few who are actually pursuing it as a full-blown career, and then even lesser number of people, females in senior positions or leadership positions, right? And then there's a lot happening in the tech sector right now. There are innovations, people who were doing one thing and now doing another thing because the pandemic has changed how we relate to life generally. Now,
Okay.
is the gap increasing or do you think it is actually getting wider?
Increasing.
Do you think women are standing in right now at that point? Because this is really a point in history right now,
Mm.
right? So by next year, the way we're doing things right now is going to completely change. It will be a whole new way of doing business. Do you think women are at the forefront of this change right now? Do you think this whole pandemic has helped bridge the gap, or do you think the gap is getting wider? I know.
Okay. Can I go? Okay. Okay.
Yes, go ahead,
I
please.
think. Okay. I think that I don't know that the pandemic is solving the problem. That's my personal opinion because the problem is still a problem until it is addressed strategically and intentionally. So
Okay.
the problems we've identified, like the lack of awareness, lack of opportunities, lack of interest, until they're solved. And then there's also the lack of what did I write it as? Lack of access, right?
Okay.
Sometimes it's the either lack of infrastructure access because where we are, the cost of even a computer today can discourage some people from programming. Please, I'm not interested, right? Then
Mm.
lack of information because even if you're not a programmer, like I said earlier, you can be a business analyst, you can be a technical writer, you can be many things in tech. So lack of those things. So until we are now intentional about creating awareness, having platforms like this and taking them to
Mm-hmm.
people where they are, and
Mm.
people are actually getting to see that. Guys, pandemic is creating an opportunity to be in tech, but you need to position yourself for that opportunity. Even people that are not in tech, if you're an accountant, if you're any role you may be in, you need tech now as a leverage because your job may go if
Yeah.
you're not leveraging tech. So we need to create like awareness, awaken interest. I'll say so. We need to awaken interest, or we awaken. Then we need to ensure continuity. Maybe through those circles where we now have new communities for people who are navigating their career already, not just early stage, people that are
Yeah.
maybe senior, middle to senior level, and having maybe support systems for them. We have it already, but not. I don't know if you have a lot of that in tech. I know several that are not tech related, and if you have some that
Yeah.
are tech focused, not necessarily like programming focused, but tech focused, it will help, right? And then supporting one another paying it forward, right, is also crucial in this age. So who are we looking at? We're looking at people who are getting interested. I have several people now that are talking to me. Oh, they're looking for programming jobs. Some of them I tell them for their CV, but I say that they need some more experiences. So organizations also have a part to play. Are they actually, because the truth is, junior developers are having issues. Some junior developers are then having issues with getting jobs because when they say they want junior developers, you go in and they say as a junior developer, you already have 2 to 3 years. So where do I get the first 2 years of experience from?
Mm.
Do you understand? So organizations also have a role to play in encouraging new entrants to the industry, right? So some organizations already do that, but more companies need to do that. If not, we're going to have a great divide. You have people who have entered and they've been able to go forward, and people are trying
Yeah.
to come in, but they are struggling, right? Thankfully, some companies have like graduate internships that they do. I know that even what's the name now? Hotels.ng have this one they do where when you go through their training and you scale through, they will connect you with companies as graduate interns.
Yeah.
Stuff like that will also help people. So the idea is you need to break in. When you break in, at least you've come in, you can then navigate your way around. I think one of the major issues is breaking in, and then when you're in now, you ensure you continue. So get a mentor, get a sponsor, you know, and if you don't have one, follow them for now. Learn from them from that distance. Join communities. I mean, we keep saying it, and I keep
Mm.
saying it. I was even planning to be marked with a community this year, but thankfully, thankfully to our awesome, amazing Corona, I wasn't able. But in the way you can, still join communities, then take exams. As
Mm.
women, because you know that sometimes we have this imposter syndrome. Doing an exam and passing it will give you some form of confidence that I mean, I wrote the exam, I'm good, duh, and I passed it. So if you can take some exams, you need to understand your career path. What are you trying to achieve for the next, not necessarily 10 years, maybe for the next 2 or 3 years? What exams or courses can you take that would validate your skill? It helps, right? It also gives you, and it gives you entrance to some industries. Some industries won't take you with just maybe some qualifications. You may need to add some other things. So know what your industry needs. Do the exams, and network is quite important.
I
Yeah.
absolutely agree. Christy, based on what Esther said, do you think the pandemic has created an opportunity for more women to participate in tech, or do you think it has
Yeah.
actually done the opposite?
Okay. Yeah. I think so because from experience, from people talking to me, the females, they keep telling, they can't wait. Oh, I'm having this course online. So I think the pandemic making people stay at home have really opened people's eyes to see that, you don't have to be out there because as programmers, you don't have to be going up and down. You just have to sit in your room, mostly a
Mm.
dark room or your office,
Mm.
and you code. So when they see that you can do so many things from your home, they
Welcome,
try to
Norma.
learn. So they tried to learn, basically. So yeah, I think it has actually, from your question before, I think it has actually reduced the how will I put it? Females now are more into tech, right? So now one of these like Esther, the awareness, this program we're having right now, it helps the girls
Mhm.
too. Now they tend to see other females in tech already and they want to be like them. They learn
Mm.
how to meet mentors. They learn how to go about things. They get new tools, especially when they get meetups. Yeah. So yeah, basically, and again, right from childhood, parents should train their girls, especially science.
Yeah.
They tend to take them out of science. They tend to push them towards arts because they feel
Yeah.
that's like the easiest
True.
path. So when you grow up with that mentality, you get to a
Mentality.
stage
Yeah.
when things gets too hard for you and you want to go further, right? So yeah,
True.
basically.
Thank you so much for that. That was very, very
Thank you.
insightful, Christy. Like,
Hmm.
you said so much, which is actually very true, especially when it comes to how a lot of young women are being brought up. You're being pushed towards certain
Yeah.
careers or even courses that they think are more feminine. And I do have a question for you. I think Choma keeps coming in and going off. I'm not sure why. I was going to pose a question to her. But, okay. Hi, Choma. You're back on. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Glad to finally have you here. So, we've been talking, and she's out again. Okay, so Christy, just before you joined us earlier, we spoke about the role. Esther was talking to us about the role of communities in helping the
Yeah, I
female.
listened to that. Yeah, I listened to that.
Awesome. Okay. Oof, I'm not sure what is wrong. Shama, can you hear me? Can you see me? I'm
Yes,
not
I
sure you
can.
keep going off. Okay. So let me just pose this question to you. First, let me introduce you. First, let me introduce you. Choma is the executive director of Tech Her Nigeria. So glad to have you here. Now, let me start with the very basics. Oops, and she's off again. I think it might be network issues. So,
Yeah.
Christy, just before you joined, Esther was talking to us about the role of communities and the support system in
If you
for
ask me a question, you're probably going to have to take that again because I didn't get it.
yeah, your network keeps going off and on. I'm not sure what is wrong. Is it the network issues? Choma, can you hear me?
Wow.
Oh, can you hear me, Choma? Can you hear me? Hi, Choma, can you hear me?
Okay, she's back.
Can you hear me? I don't think you can hear me. Can you hear me, Choma?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, awesome, great. I'm not sure what's wrong with the network, but I keep losing you for a few seconds there. Um, could you tell us what was your big reason, the big factor why you went into tech, why you founded Tech Hub Nigeria and the vision behind it?
Thank you. Um, so I guess listening to Esther and to Christy, mine wasn't as intentional as theirs. So it wasn't something I set out to study or something that I wanted to do as a career. I have a background in communication and in media. And I guess it was consulting within those in 2014. I was working on a project by a USAID implementing organization called Chemonics. And the
Okay.
project was called Strengthening Advocacy and Civil Engagement. And I was trying to do some work with a bunch of women to create a solution. And for some reason, I didn't find, number one, the kind of women I was looking for. Number two, women with the competencies that I was interested in. And so I said to myself, you know what? I've either searched the wrong places or there are no women. And I toyed with this idea in my mind. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to find women who work in tech. I'm going to find them. I'm going to find them. Sometime in 2015, I had a chat with Ian Aboyeji, and I said, you know what? This is what I'm thinking. This is what I want to do. We're having a coffee somewhere in Abuja. And he goes, yes, you should totally do it. Let me know how I can support you. And I'm like, nah, it seems stressful. And this conversation was early in 2015, and somehow I just left it again. And then in August, I said, you know what, maybe we should try this thing. And I was actually I put out a form online and I said, look, if you use technology, whether you're a developer or, user experience
Mm,
tester or whatever, or if the only tech you know is reading Linda Ikeji. And Linda Ikeji was a lot more popular then than it is now.
yeah.
I'm like, fill out this form and let's have a drink. And people filled out the forms. And by the end of that day, or I think it was 2 or 3 days after, we had over 100 people register. And so I looked at the form. I'm like, okay, I was expecting just like 5 or 6 or 7 people, and I would have paid for that event with my money. But when we saw the people who had registered, then, we had to get a venue. My friend is the executive director at Shehu Yardra Center, so she gave us the venue for free. The Swedish government gave us money for snacks. My boyfriend at the time paid for data. My mom paid for the jotters we gave out. It was literally like
Hmm.
my community. Everybody just chipped in. My friend anchored the event for free. She works at Facebook. My other friend took photographs. My church provided the live stream. It was literally everybody who had
Awesome.
something
Wow.
to do with me, just pitching in for that event to happen. And at the event, I remember the anchor Fatu asked what women wanted to learn, and somebody said she wanted to learn how to use Mailchimp. Now, my colleague at the time had just been taught how to use Mailchimp about a week or two ago. And so she put up her hand and said, "Oh, I've just learned how to do it. I can teach you." And immediately it was like a light bulb went off in my head. And I'm like, this girl just learned this thing 2 weeks ago and she's already offering to teach someone. Perhaps there's a space for women to be able to teach each other stuff. That's literally how Tekka was born. Um, and so some other people said they wanted to learn how to build websites. Some others said they wanted to learn how to code. And again, I reached out to my friends, Damilola Olawale of Sprout, taught women to taught women to build websites over like a 2-3 week period. She did this for free. My other friends at Inspire Hub taught women to code over 8 weeks. We started with 32 women, ended with
Awesome.
26 after the 8 weeks. So, and they taught them for free. So that was literally how Tech has started August 2015. We didn't get formally registered till 2018. Because I kept on thinking, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to do that? Even though we were, hosting events, putting trainings together, we had received money from people like Osiwa, from Google, from Intel. They had a She Will Connect program one time that gave us like $3,000 or something like that. So, but it wasn't until 2018 that I said, you know what? Okay, let's do this. We'd been trying to get registered as a social enterprise. And I think Tech has been blessed to have, advisors that actually know the work or know the business. And so my lawyer said, you're not doing any other registration but that of a social enterprise, which is a company limited by guarantee, because we wanted to be able to receive commissions, but also at the same time receive grants. And I think that's a model that's kind of helped us stay afloat, even in, these really challenging times, because we're pitching for work,
Yeah.
with organizations, etc. But at the same time, we can receive grants from donor organizations. And yeah, so I typically say that Tech has started by mistake, because it was just me testing something out. But yeah, that's the long version of Tech has started by mistake.
That was really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, quite inspiring actually. Like really inspiring. And I do want to ask, it looks like you started it out of a need. Like you mentioned, you wanted to do something, and then it looks like there was nobody around who could offer it at that particular point in time. And you also mentioned something about competence. It is something Christy and Esther have mentioned while talking, the lack of competence to some degree amongst female tech, um, women in tech in Nigeria. Why do you think this is a problem? Why do you think there's this?
So first of all, I think there's a background issue, which is the quality of education that people get. I say it a lot that if I was working with just so I have a first degree in communication from Ebonyi State University. And even though I enjoyed my time there, by the time I came out, and, entered the world, as it were, and began to, interact with other people, I realized that, and I mean, just with benefit of hindsight, it's been what? It's been about, I don't know, more than 12, 16 years I left, I got a first degree. But um, if you, if I'd relied on just that first degree, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, right? And going by the standard of education that a lot of people have now, you see that it's even worse. As a matter of fact, TechHer has a school tour that we do in local education authority schools to introduce kids to technology. and we're in 10 schools. I think like 7 of them are not connected to any form of electricity at all. So when
Wow.
you talk about, and if you look at the numbers for child education in Nigeria, we have one of the, I think we have the highest number of out of school children. What we don't measure is the quality of education that the ones who are in school get. So you have to think about what are the opportunities for people to even study in the first place. When you have to make the decision between educating a girl and educating a boy, they will most likely go for the boy. So if women, or girls come first from a place of, great disadvantage, and then so you go through, okay, if I'm going to go to school at all, and then you get into what's the quality of education that I'm getting, and then you go into what are my parents' dreams for me. I have a master's degree in social media. And even though I have parents, my mom's a PhD holder, my father is a master's degree holder, even they didn't get it when I said I wanted to study social media for a master's, because who does that, right? And who wants to go abroad to spend pounds to study social media? It doesn't sound like anything serious, right? So imagine somebody from a really, really low income family, you finally manage to finish secondary school, your parents are trying to marry you off or, put you in some line of work so that you can contribute to the family. And then you say you want to study computer. What is that? They probably have no frame of reference for that because they probably
Yeah.
haven't seen it. So it's even tougher. There's so many things stacked against, young girls, stacked against women. And then the other thing is, I was listening to Esther saying something about she would always be the only female in the class and stuff like that. I think people underestimate how mentally challenging that can be, right? So you
Sure.
either become one of the boys by force, or you
Yeah.
become the butt of their jokes, you become the butt of their sexism, you literally are taking in everything, whether you like it or not.
Sure.
You can't have a class of boys and everyone's raring to go, but you have, period cramps. And so you're not at 100%.
Yeah.
They don't have a frame of reference for that. And I say this because even when I was in, NYC camp, it was kind of very clear sometimes the way people plan and don't plan for women, because you don't have a
Yeah.
frame of reference for the things that women are going through, and it's one of the reasons why with the advocacy work that I do these days, it's like we just need to get women into places of power, because it's easy for a man to say, "Oh, your stomach is paining you a bit. Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, can you please go on with what you were doing?" But it's a woman who knows, no, this is how this thing actually pains me,
Yeah.
meaning that I am unable to deliver anything. I just want to lie down in my bed today and cry. Or I want to lie down in my bed and eat chocolate because that's what my stomach is telling me, right?
Sure.
So there's a lot of things that we're not planning for. And again, this is why Tech Hub focuses on women. So women our age, women above 18, because there's so much advocacy thrust at young girls, get into STEM, get into STEM. But Esther talked about women, falling off, right? So everybody goes into STEM. I read an article that Melinda Gates wrote, and she said with the amount of money that's been pumped into getting more girls into STEM, there's a problem, with the fact that we're not getting enough people, one, remaining, and
Yeah.
number two, we're not getting enough of them rising up to the C-suite, right? So for me, it's how do you um, ensure that you can protect
Yeah.
or you can process for the next generation. And that's why we work with women our age and women above 18, so that when you have children, you already have a frame of reference for what technology is and what it can do for you. When you have children, you're able to pass that on to them as seamlessly as you pass on religion, as seamlessly as
Okay. I think we lost her there. Let's see if she can come back on for a few seconds. Hi, we lost you for a few seconds. Hi, Shama. Can you hear me? Hello there.
Yeah, I think she's out again.
Hi, can you hear me, Choma?
yep, I can.
We lost you for a few seconds there, but you have said so much and in so many ways touched on literally every single thing that we have been talking about. And So Esther, you mentioned awareness, and it is the same thing that Chioma has also mentioned. There's not enough awareness. There's not enough continuity. So a lot of women start, but somehow do not finish or do not end up at top level positions as expected. And we've also talked about the lack of skill. We also talked about, you also mentioned, Chama, you mentioned something very important, the emotional sort of drain it has on women being in a male-dominated sector. And I really want to thank you guys so much. You've thrown so much light on so many aspects, and you're doing so much in your own little ways to impact the world around you, to bring in more women into tech, to mentor people, to touch more lives. And right before you joined us, while you were a bit off and on, Christy, Esther talked about the role of a community and its importance for the female tech entrepreneur to grow or to start or to learn. Do you have anything to say about that just before we wrap up?
Yeah. So the community, if you see other females, I don't know, can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah.
you.
You can hear me, right? Yeah. So actually,
Yes.
that's actually very, very vital. You need to be in a place where you see other people striving to do a particular thing or the thing you want to do. So when you see that, like okay, for example, you're in a classroom, right? And you see everybody trying to take the first position. It also pushes you to want to be best in what you're doing. So yeah, community is perfect if you want to grow. That's basically what I was saying. Yeah.
Are you in any community, and what was it like for you finding a community to be a part of?
Yeah. Funny thing is, I'm actually part of Teka, Chama's
Awesome.
foundation. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually part of it, and I've been in some of their programs, and it's been interesting because I met some few people there. I met some girls, like two of them, and I don't know, we don't talk anymore. Yeah, but then at least it was encouraging. You see people doing what you want to do, and you guys talk about it. If you have issues, you share together. So yeah, it's actually very good.
That is awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're doing something. And Esther is off. I was just about to throw a question to you. You're back on. Can you hear me, Esther?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So I was just about to throw a question to you.
Okay.
During the course of the session, you mentioned something I quite picked up on, sort of a tagline. Now that you're here, do you intend to do anything about it?
Oh, the idea, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Well, I even personally I like the idea. So implementation wise though, I already run several projects. So I'm just thinking in my
Can you hear
head,
me?
do I
I can
want
hear
to
you.
go ahead to do such or
I
talk to
can hear you now.
somebody that
Please go
already
ahead.
has can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Esther.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I feel like I may talk to someone I know that runs something similar, but not specific to tech, to see if she wants to do something like that, and I'll work with her. Because first,
I think we've
I
lost her.
can hear you. I've lost you, Esther. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Esther.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can
I'm
we
you
not
can
sure
hear
hear
you
whether I
me?
should
now.
switch my so leave my mobile
Can you hear me, Esther?
network on. I'm trying to see which one works. Okay, but since you can hear me, let's just continue. So I'm not sure yet. Actually, I really don't know. I may talk to someone or some people. I don't know if I want to start. So
And she's off. We're having network
my
issues today.
network.
But
Yeah, that's what this is. I
Esther,
think.
can you hear me, Esther? Because I actually want to say something. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I was thinking of switching to my other network, but I think I'll just wait.
So, for me, the big reason and the most important thing to take out of all of this your experiences and everything that you have shared is doing the work after this. Like,
Mm.
you share the experiences, you know exactly what it feels like for you to be the only woman in a room full of men in trying to somehow in their own way shut you down for something that you know that you can do, right? So it is very important that women's voice are getting louder when it comes to tech, and this is because, like I said, the pandemic is changing a lot of things, and
Yeah.
more so, the development of any product should not be one-sided. So if you're having just male gender building products or services and related to tech, you're having just one part or just one sector or one aspect of an entire nation building something that is consumed by all. And women generally are huge consumers of tech. So if we're going to be consuming something, we definitely should be a huge part in how it is made to ensure that it is made to include us in the process, to be favorable to us as well. And this is why I asked what you intend to do with now that you're here.
Yeah.
You don't have to decide anything right now, but the important thing is that after this is to keep passing the torch down, to keep ensuring that you're impacting the people around you, ensuring that voices are being heard, ensuring that you're lifting people up and not just going along, and keep sharing what you're doing. But just before we end, do you have any last words? Christy, do you have any last words? Any last things to say? Choma, if you can
Yeah,
hear us
so
joining.
okay, so number one, I'll say you need a mentor. Yeah, mentorship is critical in tech. You need someone to guide you. You need someone to tell you when you're going wrong. So yeah, mentorship is it. Then secondly, you just have to be focused. I know whatever they are saying, whatever they're saying, oh, you can't do it and all, just be focused. Just prove yourself, because I know if you prove yourself, nobody will want to talk down on you or won't want to listen to you because they know what you can do. So yeah, be focused and try to prove yourself, because that's the world we find ourselves. We have to prove ourselves for people to hear us. So yeah, so basically that's basically it for me. And again, as females, like I said earlier on, now that we know this, we have to expose our kids to tech and science. At least if you can do that with your family, I'm sure other families with time, at things as this generation is passing by, you see females going into tech. So yeah, another one to start from the family. So yeah, that's it. And again, be valuable. Eh,
Hello, Christy.
This
Hello.
network.
Okay, so over to you, Esther. Have any last words to say? How do we bridge the gap? What will you be doing after this? Anything you want to
Okay.
drop for people who are interested in tech but do not know what to do?
Well, thank you, Gertrude. I feel like this in itself, it's actually one way, to actually, I can see in the audience some of my people, right, that joined. So I'm happy actually, because I'm sure at the end of this, program, they're not going to be um, where they were before they joined this program. They've learned one, two
Okay.
things from several people, which is what the event prefers, ability to gain knowledge. So I'll just start with where Christy ended it. She said, be valuable. I would put it as, be so good they can't ignore you, because that's the
Hmm.
way to go forward. You have to be so good. I mean, sometimes again, the work you do within your organization may not be, people may not see it on the outside, but then you then need to know how to leverage social media and
Hmm.
the media as a means to also let what you know be spoken about. So for me now, I don't talk a lot about tech. I mean, after the work, apart from maybe sometimes I just do and on my blog. But when I do, I just let people know that this, that. And then there are people that I know in tech that I'm sort of intentional about ensuring I add value to them, checking up on them in their tech journey and just saying, have you seen this resource? And it just helps, right? So, and another thing I like to say is be confident. You know, as a
Hmm.
woman, sometimes when you're in the midst of guys, it can be intimidating. I know it. I mean, I've been there. But see, rock your confidence. I'm telling you, because when you speak up in meetings, right? When you're in
Hmm.
meetings where it's as if speak up, speak with sense, of course, but speak up in those meetings when you begin to contribute value. And then the good thing that we have as women is sometimes we're able to do many other things, and add extra
Hmm.
value. I don't mean that you should be the one serving the meals at the meetings all the time. If you have time, fine. But there are other things, like sometimes you're able to, maybe you've finished the meeting, you're just able to run through and just say, "Oh, boss, I noted this from the meeting. What did you say about this?" And bring in that perspective. So be confident and own your space, right? I would say celebrate your wins, you know, those little accomplishments. When you take that exam, when you take that course, don't be like me. Sometime I'll take it, I won't tell my boss. But now I'm telling them, I have this exam I've done, because if you don't say it, they may not know it, right? Then pay it forward. Always pay it forward,
Hmm.
contribute to the community, you know, availing myself of this opportunity of coming out is actually a way of paying it forward for me, because I could have said, "Oh no, I'm just going to focus on my work. I don't have time," right? But this is also a way to pay it forward. Are there women in tech, even young girls that as a form of mentorship, just start talking to them. I mean, I traveled to Ghana the other day, and we were in this school with ISEC. We were doing this sort of stuff, and there was one boy there, and he was like, "I want to be a computer engineer," and I'm like, "I'm a computer engineer," and it was just so interesting, and it was so happy, and I was just happy too. It just shows that, and you'll be amazed some things children don't forget. It may go on to
Hmm.
be something or other things, and it could be that memory that, "Oh, I met that lady, she's a programmer from da da da," and so just keep sowing those good seeds wherever you are. Join communities. I
Yeah.
cannot sing that song enough. Join. It may not be like physical activities, but even if it's online, you can join. I think that will be all I have to say. Network,
Thank
build
you so
relationships,
much.
add value. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you so much, Chrissy. You guys have said so much. Chrissy, you were cut off at some point. Is there something else you wanted to add?
Yeah. I think Esther's finished it.
Okay, awesome.
So, yeah,
Thank you
value,
so
like
much.
value all the time. So yes.
You both have said so much, and I think one thing we're going to do after this is to not just leave it at this, but to pick up the work after this. So, Esther, I'm going to follow up with you, and then we're definitely going to do something together
No,
on
no
now that
problem.
we're here. And I'm pretty sure you're both open to mentorship. I'm sure I've spoken to you guys about it separately. So we're going to be doing a little bit of bridging the gap ourselves. So anyone who is interested can reach out to us via email or just search for our names or talk to us. So we'll definitely be doing a bit of bridging the gap ourselves, ensuring that we have more women participation, ensuring that there are mentorships available for women, because just as you have been there's so many women who are there right now thinking, I need someone I can talk to, someone who might understand. This is the situation I'm finding myself at work. How do I come out of it? How do I show that I actually have the skills, that I actually can deliver? So these are all issues that a lot of other women in tech might be having, and I'm sure that you can provide solutions. So we definitely will be doing a bit of bridging the gap ourselves with a program that we have coming up. And thank you so much once again for your time, for taking the initiative to be here, for sharing your knowledge. It was so impactful listening to you both. And Choma also, I'm not sure why she can't join us, but it was so impactful for a few seconds she was here with us. Listening to you guys here talking and everything, it has been amazing. Thank you so much. Keep doing the great work that
Thank
you're
you.
doing. Keep impacting lives. Keep being awesome. And show them that you can. It actually reminds me of a
Yeah.
quote I saw earlier in the week that says, let me just see if I can get it right here. 1 second. Okay, yes. So the quote says, a code is gender neutral. It does not know whether it was written by a man or woman. It is just a
Yeah.
code.
Correct. I like
I
that. I'm going to
know.
steal it.
I know.
So thank you so much. You guys are absolutely amazing, and look forward to following up with you. Thanks so much for your time. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye. Just click on the go backstage and then we're done.
Okay.